Him gone, him gone, him gone, him gone. Kiss me neck back. Listen up. A lot of people was cussing Judge Sykes. But you hear the man name. His name is Judge Sykes. That means say all along him did a work on the Sykes. Yo, when me say him dash with Blackman, Blackman get dash, man. Yo, let's talk about this, right? So I'm over on Twitter, right? And Matthew Esk is saying, big young leader, ball, tears, and nose knot in a court. When you were planning red rum, which is murder, and telling them to bring them back with or without the cock. You never did a ball, do. Damn germs. And next person said, Dirty John Crow, all waste man them. Oh, you fi say, you are the baddest thing. And when you drop a court, you all want to tell the judge say, you are one pastor. Keep the same energy, brother. Tell the judge say, the boy violate you, and you shot him in him face. A bare nastiness them, man. All of a sudden, there are saints and welders, etc., says the next one. Then the next person say, some of who have walked free are still incarcerated, have left the gang and formed their own factions already, allegedly. This case is bigger than clans, and the few who got sentenced, it's a small win. Nothing not stop. Prosecution did a poor job, although they are not to be blamed alone. Boy, here one now. Let's get over to the news that is coming out of Jamaica. Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and click the bell next to the subscribe button to be notified when new videos are uploaded on SouFLoTV. Remember, I have no dog in this fight. We have nobody in the courtroom to tell us nothing. So we have to compile these informations as they are printed to other social media sites and to include Observer, Gleaner, Star, Loop, News, TVJ, CVM, all of those things. Big up to all those entities as well, because without them, we wouldn't know what was going on in the courtroom. Anyhow, let's take it here. I will let y'all know that when I say that him gone, him gone, him gone, I'm talking about this. Vybz Kartel got 35 years before he is eligible for parole, right? And Blackman, Andre Blackman Bryan, has now been convicted of about 5 murders. So how long them a go give him? And it look like them a go bury him under the jail, right? Him now come out again. And I was wondering where they heard that the man was crying from, because me no like make up stuff about people. So when time me I walk road, somebody can talk about, hey dog, or you this me done. I talk about him, I cry. Bad man a cry youth and stop your disrespect. Well, because I read a lot, I found it. It was actually printed. So let's go through these headlines and stuff. One of the headlines says the alleged Klansman boss Blackman and 3 others were found guilty in the murder of the St. Catherine couple. Remember, I know me telling you, I already said he had 2 murder convictions handed down in one day. This was from a previous video. So add 2 to the ones that I'm going to go through now. Kingston, Jamaica. 4 alleged members of the Klansman gang have been found guilty in the 2017 double murder of a St. Catherine couple during a search for a rival gangster that was called Bubba Sparks. So them did a look for Bubba Sparks and them end up murder a couple. Chief Justice Bryan Sykes handed down the verdict on Monday morning at the Supreme Court in Kingston. Last video I gave you on the Klansman Wandan gang trial, which was Friday, and I told you that things were going to pick up again in court on Monday. Well, Monday morning come and the judge handed down more guilty convictions. Chief Justice Bryan Sykes handed down the verdict Monday morning at the Supreme Court in Kingston. The Crown, in opening its case on September 20th last year, said that incident which is reflected in count 7 and count 8 on the 25 count indictment, was part of the crimes that were committed between 2015 and 2019 that are attributable to the gang. In other words, the gang do it. This fact or this act was said to be carried out by the accused, Andre Blackman Bryan himself, the alleged gang leader, and co-accused Fabian Johnson, Dylan McLean, and Brian Morris, as well as Michael Whitley and Tariq James and Jazeel Blake. Is a group of them get that show right there, so you know. The trial judge is assessing the evidence on Monday. While he was assessing the evidence, said that he was satisfied that Bryan, McLean, James, and Blake are guilty on count 7 as well as count 8. Count 7 and count 8 were the double murders, right? The trial judge says witness number 1, who is an ex-gang member turned court witness, crown witness, told the court that he and those men, as well as the accused Joseph McDermott and another man known as Frazzle, which is Damien Doyle, who is now deceased, they were together in one of the 2 groups that were part of that attack. He also gave evidence as to the lighting at the meeting and how long he saw the accused he had named that night. Bryan and Walker died huddled together after they were peppered with bullets, and their wooden house was burnt to the ground by the same thugs. The trial judge said that he was satisfied that the men had been intentional in carrying out this murderous mission. It's a sad story, because if you recall the story, the couple had just met not too long ago, and them did say that he didn't want to bring her around his area because, you know, him didn't know the Schweppes, him know where they go on, and him never want to put her in danger. But anyway, the relationship progressed and she come true, and you know what happened already. You deal with a nice little catty and you and she go lock off by your ends and them thing there. So them in a bed and them a do them thing and these things, and in came Bryan Blackman, Andre Blackman, and his henchmen, according to all this. And the rest was this, that they died huddled together. I don't know if them man tell them, say, hug her up, and you hug him up, and then kill them together just like that. Or they actually caught them in the act and killed them together. Either way, that is how it was. There's another part. If you were listening in one of the previous videos I did, when the burnt bodies and the burnt house was shown in court on the screen, it is said that Blackman, Andre Blackman Bryan, bust out a laugh. And he laughed so loud that others of his cronies who are on trial as well, they started laughing too. Viewing the burnt bodies huddled together on the screen, the man started to laugh. That is what they said. Go back and look. Alright? Now when him start laugh, the judge became so disgusted that the judge called for a recess. And he had to be calmed down because him did a laugh so much. So it was kind of weird to see some headline on Twitter today that says that big gangster a ball, all nose knot and bugu. And I said, how come? Because you were laughing when they showed a picture of the bodies that were burnt. Well, turns out he is found guilty for that one. Now, let's move on to our next article, because all over in the US, them cover this, you know. And I'll tell you what they said there too. Kingston, Jamaica, Andre Blackman. This is another one from Jamaica and from Observer. Andre Blackman Bryan has officially been declared the leader of the Klansman gang by Chief Justice Brian Sykes. And he has been found guilty of masterminding the 2017 murder of Damien Forrester, otherwise called Dooley, near the former Price Right supermarket in Meadowbrook, St. Andrew. So him get charged again. Boy, the way how Chief Justice Sykes a bury him, you see, is not a shovel him a use, you know. This look like is a excavator. You know, one of them machine there will look like a tractor, but they had a big digging something on the front of it. Excavator him they use. By the time him done bury him, the man got turn fossil. Him now come out. He is no way he can make it back out to road again with all these murders. So here he is again. After receiving 2 murder convictions on one day, which was last week Friday, the man come back, come get 3 more today. Pan this day, yeah. So not only is he being found guilty for the double murder of the couple who were found huddled together, but he's now also found guilty for a brother named Dooley over Price Right in Meadowbrook, St. Andrew. According to the evidence of a Crown witness, the youth was killed because it was believed that he was running the Thompson Pen area, which was the faction that was controlled by incarcerated Klansman strongman Tesha Miller, and they wanted to move him up out of the place and take over there. He said that Dooley was killed after a failed first attempt. They make off him before and they miss him. Them go back for him again and them never miss the next time. Following that murder, he said that Bryan, who had remained at his house in the company of a female upon being told that the murder had been committed and it was successful, him say, a long time me no kill something, before retreating upstairs to the woman he had been with. It is reported that that woman was the pastor lady named Mama Christie. Them did up on lockdown. A long time me no kill something. In handing down the verdict on Monday morning at the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston, the trial judge said that based on the evidence, he was not of the opinion that either the Crown's main witness had sufficient clout to engineer the murder. I know them do it. I am convinced based on evidence that it was you, Andre Bryan Blackman, that orchestrated and ordered this, cause you are the big boss. Count 6 on the 25 count indictment. Them couldn't have done that on their own. The Crown earlier in the trial had conceded in respect of the accused Jaziel Blake, Tomrick Taylor, and Donovan Richards. Bryan had been the only accused that was left on this count. Ross, boy. Ja. Him gone, you know. Him gone. And then, of course, Andre Blackman Bryan found guilty of being the Klansman gang leader. That story here was remember, I know me telling you all my sources, you know. So you can't say SouFLoTV and make up stuff and sensationalize stories. You can't go look up and read them for yourself. The problem is so much news is printed in one day on each topic that people confuse and don't know where to go. And ain't nobody reading 10 different newspaper and news outlets these days. So I compile them for you. Alright, on we move. Andre Blackman Bryan found guilty of being the leader of the notorious Spanish Town Wandan faction of the Klansman gang. Listen to the part here. The country's Chief Justice Brian Sykes handed down the historic guilty verdict this morning in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Bryan wept as the Chief Justice formally found him guilty of being the top man of one of Jamaica's most feared criminal organizations. The man cried, according to this report. You know, say I think he might cry because him really did feel like say he might go bust off that one, yeah? I think him crying because him really did feel. I don't know if Mama Christie or little youth what them say is the obia man that don't miss. I think him did have him faith in these things that it was gonna work out for him. The youth them where listen to all this. Remember say gathering can't save you. Remember say obia man can't save you. It's all a farce and a fallacy. And if them things that you're involved in, then your day too shall come. Either you're going to get a casket real quick, or you're going to get lots of time behind bars. By the way, our life nice outside, you know. Me don't feel like I want to risk my life to go sit down in a nobody prison not even for a day. Much less forget all 3, 4, 5 life sentences. Anyway, it says Bryan wept as the Chief Justice formally found him guilty of being the top man of one of the most feared criminal organizations. The long-running trial appeared to be drawing to a close now, as Justice Sykes pointed out Bryan as the gang's leader. Justice Sykes told the convicted gangster that the evidence confirmed his role was to plan, was to give directions, and was to organize the commission of serious crimes. This is the evidence I have before me, Mr. Bryan, and the evidence says that your role in all of this was to plan everything, was to give directions to your henchmen, and was to organize the commission of serious crimes. The Chief Justice told a distraught Bryan as he was crying that notwithstanding his good character reference and his denial that he ever gave orders to kill anyone, the evidence indicates that you are guilty. Rotted. So you mean so the man that they are crying for true because the article mentioned him crying, you know, before, and the article says while the judge was now addressing him, he was distraught. People distraught don't mean say you just a shed little tears but your face still straight. You know, sometimes you might look by yourself, look into yourself and say, yo, me a real G, me a hold it. But 1 or 2 tears might roll out where you can't control. That is not distraught. Okay? Distraught mean exactly how the other person on Twitter described it. And they described it as whole heap of tears with all bugu and nose knot. Man a ball. Sykes told the convicted gangster that the evidence confirmed his role. The Chief Justice told that distraught Bryan that not withholding your good character reference, sir, people speaking good about him and these things, and the fact that he has denied that he had anything to do with any of this. Me never send nobody to go kill nobody ever. I never ordered any murder, all that. The judge say, yeah, me hear all that, but the evidence indicates that you are guilty. Bryan shook his legs and held his head low as the country's top judge sealed his fate. It was the latest in a string of guilty verdicts that were handed down against Bryan since the Chief Justice began his summation. Bryan's co-accused, Ted Prince, has also been found guilty of facilitating the commission of a serious offense, conspiracy to murder a person who is unknown. Now, Ted Prince got off of a murder last week, but he was still held even though he was found innocent of that one, only to come be found guilty of this one. The reason they held him was because he still had another murder charge to face. Well, here you have it. He's been found guilty of that one. That incident occurred on January 14th of 2018 in the vicinity of a hardware in front of Jones Avenue, Spanish Town. Meanwhile, defendant Tomrick Taylor has also been found guilty of being part of the criminal organization. The presiding judge, Judge Sykes, says that he is satisfied that the Crown's key witness, a former gangster, did have prior knowledge of Taylor, and the judge, Justice Sykes, this morning freed Bryan's brother, Kevon Green. Green was found not guilty of being part of the criminal organization. Wanna hear this apart? The Chief Justice this morning freed Andre Blackman Bryan's brother, Kevon Green. The judge says that Kevon, according to evidence presented to him, was not a part of the criminal organization. I don't know if you remember, but the main witnesses that they have, the crown witness, the one them who used to be with the gang, the one them who infiltrated and gave all this information over to prosecution, even they said it. Okay, if you was paying attention to the 50-something videos I did following this before, you will know that in one of them, they said specifically that Andre Blackman Bryan always made sure that his brother did not get involved in any of the friggery. Him never kill nobody. Him never do nothing like that because him didn't want that for his younger brother. So he protected him from all of that, right? Keep him around, but protect him from all that. Don't send him on no works. Don't make him go do nothing foolish or nothing like that. It's funny that you would send other people to do stuff, but you didn't see your brother fit enough to be involved in such things. But then again, them man there who did a run go do them something there, them did one go do them something there. See? So the judge, Chief Justice Sykes, says that the Crown was unable to establish the conduct of Green's involvement. He says that the evidence presented, it wasn't sufficient to prove that Green had actual membership in the gang under the law. The trial has now taken a health break and will resume shortly. Shout out to Ricardo Brooks from Nationwide News, and you can go over Nationwide News and follow them for more ups and downs in this soap opera thing where seem like a well scripted Netflix series. Only thing, this is Jamaica in real life. Now we fast forward over to the United States of America, and if you go to US News, you will see the news of the day. And it says, Jamaica Supreme Court convicted a well-known crime boss on Tuesday in a landmark trial, marking a win for the Caribbean islands' recently reformed anti-gang laws. Andre Blackman Bryan was found guilty of leading the One Don faction of the Klansman gang, which persecuted a community on the outskirts of Kingston, Jamaica's capital. Bryan has also been found guilty of facilitating several murders, and like I've told you before, 5 he has a conviction on before. The conviction is a victory for the government's crime-fighting efforts, according to a senior police official. The ruling follows a series of judicial reforms aimed at reining in rampant gang violence. This is a win for law enforcement, a win for the criminal justice system, and a win for Jamaica, said Fitz Bailey, Deputy Police Commissioner for the Jamaica Constabulary Force. A lawyer for Bryan did not immediately respond to the request for comments. Police statistics shows that gang activities account for 70% of the murders in the country of Jamaica, just under 3 million people the population is. Jamaica has one of the highest homicide rates in the region and is also considered a major transit point for drug smuggling. Dozens of other defendants are also on trial alongside Bryan. Parts of a 25-count indictment made up of charges including arson and murder. Some of the defendants, all of whom pleaded not guilty, are still awaiting a verdict. 5 others have been released due to insufficient evidence since the trial began in 2021, while other suspect was killed. While another suspect was killed. That's another person who was released, was actually killed after his release. Bryan is awaiting sentencing at the moment, though the maximum jail term he faces was not immediately clear. Recent judicial reforms allows the judge to convict these defendants based on a wider range of offenses, which would increase the length of prison sentences. And this was reported by Kate Chappelle, writing by Isabel Woodford, and editing by Lincoln Feast. And it was published in www.usnews.com. So like me did I say to you, all overseas this here case here, it made worldwide recognition. And again, maybe they should have actually played this, the whole court proceeding, out on Jamaica TV, so that these little youths who think they're next in line can get a first-hand look at what they might be facing down the road. It might have changed some minds. I don't know. Anyhow, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned with hitting that other button, which is the bell, so you're notified when sentence is handed down, if anybody else gets found guilty, and all these other things. So Andre Blackman Bryan weeps in court. Them said Noah's not on Bugo and everything. And brother get set free, and he is now looking at 5 murders and counting. Now come out again. I'll catch y'all on the next video with SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.